Yes.
Thank you. Just before Agento had placed the last entry there on page 51 at 040728.
51.
Yes, page 51.
Yeah. 4728.
Yes.
Mm.
And the ignition was off. But Elderbach placed Glen Vista, Johannesburg. Can then go to the next page, page 52. At 071246.
At 071246 at Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. The vehicle shows ignition on, GPS unlock.
Isikhathi sika 7:12:46 umzuzwana eHeidelberg Place eGlen Vista imoto ibonakala ukhiye ukhanyisiwe iGPS ivulile.
At 07:13:21 at Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg, the vehicle shows stopped.
Ngesikhathi ke sika 7:13:21 Helderberg Place eGlen Vista, Johannesburg imoto ikhombisa imile.
At 07:13:24 at Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg, the vehicle shows stopped.
Isikhathi 7:13:24 eGlen Vista and eHelderberg Place imoto ibonakala imile.
At 07:15:17 Renosa Street, Glen Vista, Johannesburg, the vehicle shows moving.
Isikhathi 7:15 and 17 seconds lapha ePrinosa Street eGlen Vista imoto ibonakala ihamba.
Yes, the next entries are not that important. It shows the vehicle is moving. If you can turn the page over to page 53 at 072608.
At 07:26:08 at Kirby Bella Road, Malbaton, Johannesburg, the vehicle shows ignition off.
Isikhathi 7:26:08 eKirby Bella Road eMalbaton eJohannesburg imoto ikhombisa ukhiye ucishiwe.
Here's the next entry.
At 07:28:05 at Kirby Bella Road, Malbaton, Johannesburg, the vehicle shows ignition on.
Lapha ke imoto ngo 7:28:05 eKirby Bella Road eGoli imoto ibonakala ukhiye ukhanya kusho ukuthi ustartile.
And the status shows that the vehicle is moving until, if you can turn to page 54, the rest of the entries are not relevant. Page 54 at 0740 and 26 seconds.
At 07:40:26 at Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg, the vehicle shows ignition off.
Isikhathi ka 7:40:26 esikhathi imoto ilapha eHelderberg Place eGlen Vista ibonakala ke imoto icishiwe.
Next entry.
At 08:05:41 at Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg, the vehicle shows motion ignition off.
So ngesikhathi ke 08:05:41 ikhona eHelderberg Place eGlen Vista imoto ibonakala inyakaza kodwa ke ukhiye ucishiwe.
At 08:05:50 Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, vehicle shows ignition off.
Isikhathi ka 05:50 khona eHelderberg Place eGlen Vista imoto ikhombisa ke ukhiye imoto ucishiwe.
At 08:06:40 at Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg, the vehicle shows ignition on.
Isikhathi ka 08:06 imizuzwana yo-40 eHelderberg Place eGlen Vista imoto ke ikhombisa icishiwe.
At 08:08:01 at Taba Bosigo Avenue, Glen Vista, Johannesburg, the vehicle shows moving.
Isikhathi 80801 eThaba Busikho Avenue eGlen Vista imoto ibonakala ihamba isivinini sayo lapha sihamashumi amathathu amakhilomitha.
Now, the next four entries are not really that important. You can go to the time 08:14:34.
At 08:14:34, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. The vehicle is moving.
Ngesikhathi 08:14 and 54 34 umsuzwana lapha imoto iku-Grasville Crescent eLiefde and Vrede imoto ibonakala ihamba isivinini samashumi amabili amakhilomitha ngehora.
And the speed?
It was moving at 20 kilometers an hour.
Isivinini kusamashumi amabili amakhilomitha ngehora.
Just put on record the date again.
The date will be 2014-10-27.
Ilanga ke lelo kwakumhla ka 27 eminyangeni kaOctober 2014.
Yes, next entry.
At 08:15:16, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. The vehicle is moving at 13 kilometers an hour.
So ke ngesikhathi ke ka 8:15:16 umgwaqo uGrasville Crescent eLiefde and Vrede imoto ibonakala ihamba ijubanelayo 13 kilometers per hour.
At 08:15:31, at Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. The vehicle shows ignition off.
Ngesikhathi ke sika 8:15 and 31 second lapha ke uGrasville Crescent eLiefde and Vrede eGoli imoto ibonakala icishiwe.
At 08:16:36, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. The vehicle shows ignition on.
Ngesikhathi ka 8:16 nemizuzwana 36 imoto ilapha kuGrasville Crescent eLiefde and Vrede and ikhombisa ukuthi istartiwe.
At 08:17:16, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede. Vehicle is moving at 17 kilometers an hour.
Ngesikhathi 8:17 and 16 second lapha kuGrasville Crescent eLiefde and Vrede eJohannesburg imoto ibonakala ihamba ngejubanele 17 kilometers per hour.
For how long was the vehicle at this address, Grasville Crescent? At this particular time?
It went ignition off at Grasville Crescent at 08:15:31, and then it went ignition on again at 08:16:36. So approximately 1 minute.
Imoto ibonakala la ilapha endaweni yaseGrasville Crescent imizuzu owodwa kuphela.
Yes, the status of the vehicle shows that the vehicle was moving. If I can then ask you to turn to page 57. We can start with that first entry.
The first entry on page 57 at 09:03:25, Thaba Busikho Avenue, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. The vehicle is moving at 17 kilometers an hour.
So isikhathi sika 3 minutes past 9 imizuzwana emashumi amabili nanhlanu umgwaqo uThaba Busikho Avenue eGlen Vista eJohannesburg imoto yabonakala ihamba ngejubanele 17 kilometers per hour.
At 09:04:10, Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. The vehicle is moving at 24 kilometers an hour.
Imoto ngo 4 minutes past 9 imizuzwana elishumi Helderberg Place eGlen Vista eJohannesburg imoto yabonakala ihamba ngejubanele 24 kilometers per hour.
At 09:05:24, Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. The vehicle shows ignition off.
Ngesikhathi ke sika 5 minutes past 9 imizuzwana yamashumi amabili nane eHelderberg Place Glen Vista eJohannesburg imoto iyacishwa.
At 09:19:40, Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. Vehicle is indicating motion, ignition off, GPS unlock.
Jonke lapha ngo-19 nemizuzwana ewu-40 eHelderberg Place eGlen Vista eJohannesburg imoto ibonakala inyakaza ukhiye ucishiwe i-GPS ivuliwe.
At 09:19:43, Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. The vehicle shows ignition on.
Isikhathi-ke sika-9:19 ne-43 wemizuzwana imoto ikuse-Helderberg Place eGlen Vista eJohannesburg imoto ikhombisa-ke ukukhanyiswa kusho ukuthi-ke istartiwe ne-GPS ivuliwe.
At 09:19:50, Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing stopped.
Ngesikhathi sika-9:19 no-50 wemizuzwana imoto-ke ku-Helderberg Place eGlen Vista eJohannesburg imoto ikhombisa ukuthi imile.
At 09:19:58, 12 Bosifo Avenue, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. The vehicle shows moving.
Isikhathi sika-9:58 eThaba Bisifo Avenue eGlen Vista imoto ibonakala ihamba isivinini sayo 41 amakilomitha ngehora.
The rest of the entries are not that important. It shows that the vehicle is moving until if you can turn to page 58. Page 58 at 09:52:32.
At 09:52:32, Kutlanong Street, Vosloorus. Vehicle shows moving at 19 kilometers an hour.
Go-9:52 and 32 wemizuzwana sikumgwaqo uKutlanong Street eFordradas imoto iyabonakala ihamba ngesivinini songu-19 kilometers ngehora.
So the vehicle is back at the address which was described in Triple J7A as the crime scene at Kutlano Street 13511.
That's correct.
Imoto iyabonakala ukuthi kubuyele endaweni-ke yobugebengu.
Yes. Next entry.
At 09:52:46, Kutlanong Street, Vosloorus. Vehicle shows moving at 24 kilometers an hour.
Ngo-9:52:46 eKutlanong Street eFordradas imoto iyabonakala ukuthi ihamba ngo-24 kilometers per hour.
Just place the date again on record.
The date will be 2014-10-27.
Kusho ukuthi-ke lana-ke usuku lana umhla please give me the date again. Usuku umhla ka-27 enyangeni ka-October 2014.
Yes, next entry.
At 09:53:08, Kutlanong Street, Vosloorus. Vehicle is showing ignition off.
Ngo-9:53 imizuzwana o-80 kuKutlanong Street eFordradas imoto ibonakala icishiwe.
At 10:01:41, Kutlanong Street, Vosloorus. Vehicle is showing ignition on.
Ngesikhathi ka-10:01:41 wemizuzwana eKutlanong Street eFordradas imoto ikhombisa istartiwe.
At 10:02:02, Kutlanong Street, Vosloorus. Vehicle is showing ignition off.
Isikhathi ka-10:02:02 eKutlanong Street eFordradas imoto ibonakala icishiwe.
At 16:32:18, Kutlanong Street, Vosloorus. Vehicle is showing motion, ignition off.
Isikhathi ka-16:32:18 eKutlanong Street imoto ibonakala inyakaza kodwa ukhiya awukakastart.
16:32:23, Kutlanong Street, Vosloorus. Vehicle is showing ignition on.
Isikhathi 16:32:23 Ekutonong Street eFosloras ibonakala lapha imoto ke istartwa ne-GPS ivulwa.
At 16:32:27, Kutwanong Street, Vosloorus, vehicle is showing stopped.
Ngesikhathi ka-16:32:27 eKotlanong Street eFosloras imoto ibonakala imile.
Just before we proceed, now, for how long was this vehicle at this address?
It shows 09:53:08, Kutwanong Street, ignition off. And then 16:32:23, it shows ignition on.
Ya le moto ibonakala ke icisha ngo-9:53 kusho ukuthi 7 minutes to 10 and ibuya ke istart futhi ngo-16:32:23.
So approximately six and a half hours.
Bonakala sengathi amahora ayisithupha lapha.
Thank you. Then page 59, that second entry, 1634.
16:34:38, Brickfield Road, Spruit View, Katlehong. Vehicle is showing moving 30 kilometers an hour.
Ngesikhathi esika-16:34:38 emgwaqweni uBrickfield Road osespruit View Katlehong imoto ebonakala ihamba ngesivinini sa-30 kilometers per hour.
Thanks. The rest of the entries are not that important. You can turn the page over to page 60. At 17:11:22.
17:11:22, Graspoort Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is moving 24 kilometers an hour.
Ngesikhathi esika-17:11:22 eGraspoort Crescent eLiefde and Vrede eJohannesburg imoto ibonakala iyanyakaza ukuthi imoto yahamba isivinini sayo kwakungu-24 wamakhilomitha ngehora.
17:13:22, Graspoort Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is moving 15 kilometers an hour.
Ngesikhathi esika-17:13:22 wamizuzwana endaweni yaseGraspoort Crescent eLiefde and Vrede eJohannesburg imoto ibonakala ihamba ngejubane lika-15 kilometers per hour.
17:13:44, Graspoort Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing ignition off.
Ngesikhathi ka-17:13:44 endaweni yaseGraspoort Crescent eLiefde and Vrede eJohannesburg imoto ibonakala ukhe ucishiwe.
At 18:32:37, Graspoort Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing ignition on.
Ngesikhathi ka-18:32:37 eGraspoort Crescent eLiefde and Vrede eJohannesburg imoto ibonakala ke imoto ikhanyisa kusho ukuthi ke uyistartile.
18:32:41, Graspoort Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing stopped.
18:32:41 eGraspoort Crescent Liefde and Vrede eGoli imoto ibonakala imile.
18:32:46, Graspoort Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing stopped.
18:32:46 Graspoort Crescent Liefde and Vrede Johannesburg imoto ibonakala imile.
18:34:12, Kliprivier Drive, R556, Rispark, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing moving 19 kilometers an hour.
Lapha-ke ngesikhathi sika-18:34:12 umzuzwana Kliprivier Drive u-R556 Rispark eJohannesburg imoto ibonakala ihamba ngejubane elingu-19 kilometers per hour.
No. For how long was the vehicle at this address, Graspoort Crescent, during this trip?
Ignition went off at 17:13:44 and ignition went on at 18:32:37, so it's approximately an hour 15 minutes.
imoto ibonakala ukuthi ime ngo-17:13 and 44 yaphinde-ke yastathwa futhi ngo-17:12 laphaya 17:34 12 kusho ukuthi imoto-ke ibonakala ngathi ime lapho isikhathi esithi ukweqa i-r.
Right. The status shows that the vehicle is moving. The rest of the places that appear there are not really that important. You can then turn to page 63. Page 63 at 20:09:42.
20:09:42, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede. Vehicle is showing moving 15 kilometers an hour.
Ngesikhathi sika-20:09:42 imoto-ke ibonakala kulo mgwaqo Grasville Crescent eLiefde and Vrede ihamba ngesivinini so-15 km/h.
So the vehicle is back at the address.
That's correct.
Shuthi le moto isibuyele futhi kuleliya kheli lase-Grasville Crescent eLiefde and Vrede.
Yes, next entry.
20:09:58, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. The vehicle is showing ignition off.
Ngesikhathi-ke sika-20:09:58 kwemizuzwana lapha e-Grasville Crescent eLiefde and Vrede imoto ibonakala ukhe ucishiwe.
20:13:55, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing ignition on.
Ngo-20:13:55 emzuzwana e-Grasville Crescent imoto-ke ibonakala istartile.
20:15:19, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. The vehicle is showing ignition off.
Ngo-20:15:19 e-Grasville Crescent eLiefde and Vrede imoto ibonakala ukhe ucishiwe.
20:16:04, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing ignition on.
Ngo-2016:04 e-Grasville Crescent endaweni yaseLiefde and Vrede eJohannesburg imoto ibonakala istartile.
20:16:05, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing ignition off.
Ngesikhathi sika-2016:05 e-Grasville Crescent eLiefde and Vrede imoto-ke ibonakala ukhe ucishiwe.
20:38:06, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing motion ignition off.
Ngesikhathi ka-20:38:06 endaweni yaseLiefde and Vrede e-Grasville Crescent umgwaqo imoto ibonakala inyakaza kodwa ukhiye ucishiwe.
20:38:10, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. The vehicle is showing ignition off.
Isikhathi ka-20:38:10 wemizuzwana e-Grasville Crescent endaweni yaseLiefde and Vrede imoto ibonakala ukhe ucishiwe.
20:38:31, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. The vehicle is showing ignition on.
20:38:31 endaweni yase-Grasville Crescent eLiefde and Vrede eJohannesburg imoto yabona ukuthi-ke iphinde yastart.
20:41:31, Grasville Crescent, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing stopped.
Ngo-20:41:31 umzuzwana e-Grasville Crescent endaweni yaseLiefde and Vrede imoto ibonakala imile.
20:42:34, Klipview Road, Liefde and Vrede, Johannesburg. The vehicle is moving at 19 kilometers an hour.
Isikhathi ka-20:42:34 wemizuzwana endaweni yase-Klipview Road eLiefde and Vrede eJohannesburg imoto ibonakala inyakaza kusho ukuthi ihamba ngesivinini esu-19 km/h.
Now, for how long was the vehicle at this address, Grasville Crescent, during this trip?
At 20:09:58, the vehicle goes ignition off at Grasville Crescent. And then 20:38:31, the ignition goes on. So approximately 30 minutes.
Manda yabona sengathi mekuleyo ndawo imizuzu amashumi amathathu.
Thank you. The rest of the entries are not that important. If you can go through 2100 hours, 18 seconds. On the 27th of October 2014 is trip number 103.
At which time?
2100 hours and 18 seconds. Page 65.
21:00:18, Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. Vehicle is moving at 17 kilometers an hour.
Ngo-21:18 umzuzwana endaweni yase-Helderberg Place eGlen Vista, imoto ibonakala ihamba ngejubane eliwu-17 kilometer per hour.
Yes. Then we can skip the rest of the entries. If you can turn the page over to page 66. At 210821.
21:08:21, Klipview Road, Liefde Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is moving at 19 kilometers an hour.
Lapha ngesikhathi sika-21:08:21 imoto ise-Klipview Road eLiefden Vrede ihamba-ke ngesivinini eso-19 kilometers per hour.
Sorry, just a slight correction. If we can go back to page 65, the previous page, just place that second entry at 21:00 and 20 seconds on record. You've already placed the first one, 21:00:18 on record.
21:00:20, Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. The vehicle is moving at 24 kilometers an hour.
Isikhathi sika-21:00 nomazuzwana amashumi amabili imoto ilapha e-Helderberg Place eGlen Vista eJohannesburg ihamba ngo-24 kilometers per hour.
Thank you. Then back to page 66.
At 21:08:21, Klipview Road, Liefde Vrede, Johannesburg. The vehicle is moving at 19 kilometers an hour.
21:08:21 ilapha ku-Klipview Drive eLiefden Vrede imoto ihamba ngo-19 kilometers per hour.
At 21:08:45, Grasville Crescent, Liefde Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is moving 26 kilometers an hour.
Isikhathi ka-21:08:45 e-Grasville Crescent eLiefden Vrede imoto ibonakala ihamba ngesivinini esika-26 kilometer per hour.
So the vehicle is back at this address again.
That's correct.
Bonakala le moto iphindele yabulela kuleli kheli futhi lase-Grasville Crescent eLiefden Vrede.
Yes, we will proceed.
At 21:11:44, Grasville Crescent, Liefde Vrede, Johannesburg. The vehicle shows stopped.
Ngesikhathi sika-21:11:44 umgwaqo u-Grasville Crescent eLiefden Vrede imoto ibonakala imile.
The vehicle then shows stopped at Grasville Crescent, Liefde Vrede, Johannesburg, up until 21:55:16, where it shows ignition off at Grasville Crescent, Liefde Vrede, Johannesburg.
Imoto ibonakala imile ngaso sonke leso sikhathi siyofika esikhathini sika-21:55 lapho-ke kubonakala imoto-ke ukuthi ukhiye ucishiwe.
Then at 21:55:21, Grasville Crescent, Liefde en Vrede, Johannesburg. The vehicle shows ignition on.
Ngesikhathi esika 21:55 21 umzuzwana eHospital Crescent eLiefde and Vrede imoto ibonakala istart.
21:57:02, Klipview Road, Liefde en Vrede, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing moving at 20 kilometers an hour.
Ngesikhathi esika 21:55 eHospital Crescent eLiefde and Vrede imoto ibonakala ihamba ngesivinini esingu-20 kilometers per hour.
And for how long was the vehicle at this address at Grasville Crescent during this trip?
It shows stopped at Grasville Crescent at 21:11:44. And then it moves 21:55. So I would say approximately 40 minutes.
Ngibonakala ngathi ime lapha imizuzu yamashumi amane.
Right, the rest of the entries are not relevant. You can go to the time 22:06:45.
22.
In fact, sorry, 22:03:42.
22:03:42, Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. Vehicle is moving 19 kilometers an hour.
Ngesikhathi ke sika 22:03:42 eHelderberg Place Glen Vista eJohannesburg imoto ibonakala ihamba ngo-19 kilometers per hour.
22:03:45, Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. Vehicle is moving at 24 kilometers an hour.
Ngesikhathi ka 22:03:45 eHelderberg Place Glen Vista imoto ibonakala ihamba ngesivinini esiwu-24 kilometer per hour.
22:06:45, Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing stopped.
Ngesikhathi ka 22:06:45 sorry eHelderberg Place Glen Vista eJohannesburg imoto ibonakala imi.
22:06:54, Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. Vehicle is showing ignition off.
Ngesikhathi ka 22:06:54 eHelderberg Place eGlen Vista eJohannesburg imoto ibonakala ukhe ucishiwe.
Thank you. And once again, this is the registered address, as you've put the details thereof on record in terms of the RICA information, exhibit J1.
That's correct.
But yebo leli ikheli elibonakalayo lapha kumbukiso J1.
Now, if I can ask you to turn back to tip log number 77. That will be on page 47.
Yes.
In the middle of the column, just above trip number 77, there's a distance. Is the last column there in the middle of the page? Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Now, that distance of, you just put the distance on record.
The distance is 7 kilometers.
manje ibanga-ke livela lapho amakhilomitha esikhombisa.
Now, what does that distance represent?
That will be the distance that the vehicle traveled in that specific trip.
Shuthi-ke lawa-ke amakhilomitha ahanjwe ile moto imisahamba lolu hambo.
Just put that information again on record, from which place, from which point to which point.
That will be the distances traveled between Kutlanong Street and Sam Sukwati.
Shuthi la bihamba kulo mgwaqo uKutlanong Street iya emgwaqweni uSam Sukwati.
And that is keeping in mind that at 20:49:41, in fact at 20:49:30, just put the location of the vehicle again, 20:49:30.
20:49:30, Lesseding Street, Vosloorus.
Ngesikhathi ka-29:49:30 yayikumgwaqo uLiseding Street oseFosloras.
And at 20:49:41,
20:49:41, Kutlanong Street, Vosloorus.
20:49 and 41 umzuzwana yayisekutlanong Street eFosloras.
this is where, as you have testified, the vehicle left this address, Kutlano Street, then returned at 20:49:41. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Athi ayilapho imoto yahamba yabuyela ngo-20:49:41.
So this distance of 7 kilometers must factor in that trip where the vehicle turned back.
That's correct.
Athi-ke libanga leli esilifundile lamakhilomitha esikhombisa lifanele lifake naloku ukuthi imoto iyahamba yabuya.
Then trip number 78. It's on page 48. There is a distance that is being mentioned there. Just put the distance on record.
For which trip number?
Number 78.
Trip number 78, the distance will be 4 kilometers.
Lapha-ke uhambo olunumber 78 kulo mbiko luhamba amakhilomitha amane.
And what does that distance represent?
That will be the distances between Sam Sukwati and Kutlanong Street.
Shuthi-ke lolo hambo-ke lukhombisa-ke ukusuka emgwaqweni uSamSukwati uyofika nomgwaqo okuthiwa uKutlanong.
So this will be the distance from Sam Sukwati Street to Kutlwana Street as the crow flies, without having to turn back, as we have seen with the previous trip.
That's correct.
Athi lapha-ke ibanga eliqondile elisuka kuSamSukwati Avenue liyofika kuKutlanong Street.
And if you can place the distance between Kutlwana Street and Grasville Street as per trip number 82. See that 02-1959, the ignition is on. Then the next page, page 50, at 02:41:37 at Grasville Crescent, the ignition is off. Just above trip number 83, there's a distance. Just put that distance on record.
That distance will be 20 kilometers.
Ibanga elapho amashumi amabili amakilometer.
And that distance represent which distance?
That will be the distance between Grasville Crescent and Kutwanong Street.
And leli banga leli libonakala kuyibanga elisuka eGrasville Crescent liyofika emgwaqweni uKutwanong Street.
Then just lastly, on page 65, or maybe just before that, the distance between Helderbach Place, Glen Vista, and Grasville Street, as seen on page 57. We see at 09:1958 the vehicle starts moving from Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, Johannesburg. And arrives at Grasville Crescent at 9:27:20. What is the average distance between the two places?
At 09:19:43, the vehicle goes ignition on at Helderberg Place, Glen Vista, with the odometer reading at 209:201. Then Grasville Crescent at 09:27:20. The odometer reading is 209:205. So it will be approximately 4 kilometers.
Masilapha eHelderberg Place eGlen Vista Johannesburg. I-odometer mode ikhombisa u-209:201 kodwa uma sesilapha eGrasville Crescent eLiefdenvrede i-odometer mode ikhombisa u-209:205 ibonakala sengathi-ke lapha ama-kilometer amahlanu.
Right, then it eventually arrives at Kutlanong Street on page 58 at 09:52:32. What would then the distance be between Kutlanong Street and Helderberg Place, Glen Vista?
Okay, 09:19:43, Helderberg Place, Glen Vista. The odometer reading is 209:201. And then 09:53:08, Kutlanong Street, Vosloorus. The odometer reading is 209:226. So approximately 25 kilometers.
Libanga phakathi kwemigwaqo emibili lingaba Kutlanong Street nalaphaya esuka khona eHildeberg Place ingaba lingamashumi amabili nesithupha amakhilomitha.
Then on page 58, on the 27th of October at 10:01:41, the vehicle is at Kutanon Street. Shows the ignition is off. I'm sorry, at 10:02:02 the ignition is off. You
That's
see that?
correct.
Sibona ibonakala isemgwaqweni uKotlonong Street ngesikhathi sika 10:02:02 and futhi ke icishiwe.
Until 16:32:27. It says status stop GPS unlock.
That's correct.
Athi futhi ngo-16:32:23 ibonakala imoto isamile kodwa i-GPS isivuliwe.
And it starts moving at 16:34:38 on the next page, page 59.
That's correct.
Isikhathi sika 16:34:38 imoto ke ibonakala isihamba.
If I can ask you to go back to page 58.
Yes.
You've already given the total time at which this vehicle was at this address from 10:02:02 until it started moving.
That's correct.
And just place the speed on record.
At 16:34:38, Brickfield Road, Spruitview, Kotlonong, vehicle is moving at 30 kilometers an hour.
Ngesikhathi ka 16:34:38 eBrickfield Road Straight View imoto iyahamba isivinini amashumi amathathu amakhilomitha.
Just back on page 58, from the vehicle, from the moment the engine of the vehicle is switched off at 10:02:04 until it started moving, what was the speed? Perhaps differently put, from 10:01:43 on page 58 until 16:32:27, what is the speed that is indicated there of the vehicle?
There is no speed.
Ngesikhathi kusuka 10:32:02 hamba uzofika ku 16:32:27 imoto ayinyakazi.
Indicating what?
That the vehicle is not moving.
Khombisa lapho ukuthi imoto ayihambi.
Now, ma'am, do you confirm the correctness of your affidavit?
I do.
Athi ke ngiyaqinisekisa ke ukuthi affidavit yami yonke ibhaleke kahle.
Thank you, Madam Deriswa.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Ngomezulu.
Thank you, Madam. Good day. Good day.
Good day.
I'm trying to adjust. I want to understand that you are a police officer under the SAPS since 2021. Is it correct?
That's correct.
athi kunjalo ukuthi ngisesiphoyiseni okusuka ngo-2021.
So when you received the section 205, you were working for the tracker connection in 2018. Is that correct?
That's correct.
When we told section 205, i-tracker wathi yebo kunjani.
So in what capacity at Tracker Connect when you received this section 205?
I was employed as the company's investigator.
Ngangiqashwe kule nkampani njengolandelela umkhondo.
In terms of the protocols at the Tracker Connect, were you entitled or were you authorized to receive a section 205 being the investigator?
Yes, I was.
Yebo ngangivunyelwe ukuthi-ke ngingamukela isicelo se-section 205.
When you received the section 205, do you communicate it with your director?
It was communicated to my department manager.
But mangithola i-section 205 ngatshela-ke i-manager ye-department esenza.
Who was your director at that time?
At that stage, and even up to today, one of the directors of the company will be Wayne de Nobrega.
Athi-ke umuntu-ke osekhona lapho oyi-director lapho Wayne de Nobrega.
So I would report to my manager, and my manager was the one that would communicate to directors.
Mina ngikhuluma ne-manager yami imise i-manager yami ngidlulisela phambili.
So do you know when was this tracker fitted in the motor vehicle? Do you know when the tracker was fitted in the motor vehicle?
That would show on the system. On the system, it will show the exact date that a unit is fitted into a vehicle, but I don't have that information with me now.
Anginayo leyo mniningwane kodwa-ke iyakhombisa emshinini ukuthi-ke i-tracker yafakwa nini kulo mshini.
Can you stand it down and bring that information?
That would have to be asked from the company directly, because I do not work for the company anymore, so now I do not have access to their systems anymore.
Angisavunyelwe ukungena kula ma-system ale nkampani kodwa-ke uma ukuthi le mniningwane yadingeka kufanele icele kuyona leyo nkampani.
That's my concern. Why are you testifying on behalf of the company that you are no longer working for?
Because I was the one that drew the report that is being used here. I'm the person that drew the report from the system. Somebody else cannot speak on behalf of a report that they didn't draw from the system.
Akekho umuntu ongakwazi ukuletha ubufakazi ngumbiko okungebona abawukhipha emshinini. Mina ngakhipha lo mbiko emshinini. Yikho-ke ngilapha ukuthi ngizofakaza ngalo mbiko wakhishwa yimina emshinini.
I don't think we'll proceed with that naked information. The company must provide sufficient information before this court. There's sufficient information that we need before we proceed. We are no longer working for that company. We are a member of the SAPS. So we are not a candidate to testify on behalf of Tracker Connections.
Then the court can request that from Tracker.
Inkantolo ingacela uma ukuthi izwa ukuthi njengoba sisebenzela isiphoyisa angasebenzeli le nkampani angisafanele ukuthi ngilethe ubufakazi nanoma ingani ngaleyo nkampani.
Do you have a fitment certificate?
I wouldn't have a fitment certificate because I do not fit units, and I didn't even fit units the time that I was working at Tracker, so I wouldn't need a fitment certificate.
Anginaso isitifiketi sokufaka imishini kulezi moto ngoba ngalesikhathi engisasebenza khona ngongewona umsebenzi wami ukufaka imishini lena ye-tracker ezimotweni.
How do we know that the car was fitted by the Tracker Commission?
Wazi kanjani ukuthi le moto yayifakiwe u-tracker?
Because it reflected on the system. If we cannot see vehicles on our systems, or Tracker cannot see vehicles on their systems that is not fitted with their technology.
Ngoba phela thina imishini yethu ayikwazi ukubona imoto efakwe imishini engeyafakwanga yethu inkampani.
Were you authorized by the Tracker Connections as a member of the SAPS to come and give testimony on their behalf?
Tracker is aware of the fact that I'm testifying in this case. Yes, they are.
Inkampani yase-tracker iyazi ukuthi ngilapha ngiletha ubufakazi mayelana nenkampani yabo.
Any written authorization?
I do not have written authorization now.
Anginayo-ke imvume ebhalwe phansi.
Do you know the serial number that is affixed on the fitment certificate?
I don't know the serial number, but each unit has a specific serial number, and those serial numbers are captured on the system.
Nanoma nginganayo-ke leyo serial number kodwa-ke yonke le mshini ngamunye unenombolo yawo ebhalwayo-ke futhi emshinini kusystem.
I want the serial number, a specific serial number. You gave evidence on the registration number of a red Polo Vivo CH something. I need the serial number, or that reflects that is in that fitment certificate. Give me that serial number. I want the serial number.
That can also be requested by court from Tracker.
Fitment certificate number-ke uma ukuthi kuyadingeka ingacela kwa-tracker.
The name of the person who fitted the device.
Gamayela lo muntu owafaka le mshini lapha emotweni.
That will reflect on the installation certificate. A copy of the installation certificate is handed to the client, and then the original is also kept. So either the client or Tracker will be able to supply that.
Usho leyo number ingatholakala kunyike moto noma enkampanini.
Where was it fitted? Which town? Which branch?
All of that will show on the installation certificate.
Konke lokho kuyabonakala ku-installation certificate.
So you came here unprepared.
According to the section 205, we were not asked about the installation certificate. We were asked to supply a report from a certain date up until a certain date. The section 205 doesn't ask us for the installation certificate.
Manje isicelo ke sasithola thina sathola isicelo esikhuluma ngokuhamba kwemoto. Asizange sicele ukuthi siphinde silethe nemininingwane installation certificate.
In terms of the National Police, of the current employee, which article permits you to come and testify for a previous employee?
It's a discretion of the state to call any witness. It's not for this witness to decide on that. We submit that it's an unfair question to this witness.
I'll submit, my lord, it is a fair question. we submitted that this evidence of this witness is irrelevant. And we don't know where it is taking us to. And the state is wasting the court's time.
As I explained before, I was the person that drew this specific report. So it, again, would be difficult for somebody else to come and testify on a report that they didn't draw from the system. And even the statement was done by myself. It wasn't done by somebody else.
Imina wakhipha lo mbiko emshinini imina akekho omunye ongakwazi ukuthi azoletha ubufakazi ukuthi akuyena wakhipha lo mbiko emshinini. Mina futhi owabhala statement.
I understand this is what you've done. You left that company, you joined the public sector. But to come and testify for the work we've done in the private sector.
This is the third time that the same question is being asked. We, unless my learned friend demonstrate what the reason is for repeating the same question thrice, we object to this repetitive cross-examination.
I think I can ask it for the 5th time or 10 times, as long as it is relevant for what I want from this one.
The only other alternative would be for the court to again request the same report to Tracker so that another person will be able to draw the same report and then speak on behalf of the tracking company.
And okunye kungenziwa inkantolo ukuthi uma isafuna lo mbiko kodwa ke uvele enkampanini ngingacela ukuthi lo mbiko lona ukhishwe futhi okusho ukuthi ke manje usuzokhishwa omunye ewukhiphe emshinini ukuze kube uyena ke ozofakazela lo mbiko lo awukhiphile.
This information, this document, in what format does it come when it is requested by the police? Does it come in a PDF?
PDF format.
Lo mbiko lona ke siwuthola umbiko ohlobo lwe-PDF.
How do we know that it is not converted into an Excel?
We draw it in PDF format. That is how it's generated from the system.
Umshini ukhipha lo mbiko uhlobo lwe-PDF nathi siwukhipha emshinini unjalo.
Yes. When it's now taken to the SAPS.
These reports, they get printed out at our office and the reports get handed to the police officers.
Thina ke siyawuprinta lo mbiko emahhovisi ethu ebese ke amaphoyisa azowuthatha emahhovisi ethu usu printed.
So at that time you will stick, when you, I want you to be specific. Ne? Don't say we. You will say we if you are referring to a company. But to talk about your involvement when you received the Section 205. Did you specifically receive Section 205?
Yes, I did.
Yebo ngawuthola Section 205.
Did you respond to Section 205?
Wena waphendula into Section 205.
Yes, I printed out a report and I printed out my statement and it was handed over to the investigating officer.
Yebo ngaprinta i-report, ngaprinta ke ne-statement sami, ngase ke lokho ngikunika umseshi.
Who is the investigating officer? Who was the investigating officer?
At the time that I received the Section 205, it was a Sergeant Mkize.
Sergeant Mkize ke wayewumseshi kulolu, wayewomphenyi kulolu daba ngesikhathi ke mina ngikhipha ngithola i-Section 205.
Did you hand it over to, did you respond to Mkize?
That's correct.
Yebo ngaphendula nganika umkhize.
How did you respond? How did you submit the document to Mkize? In a form of a PDF?
That's correct. The way that it is seen now in court, this is what I handed over.
But yebo yile ndlela engamnika ngayo njengoba ubonakala la enkantolo lo mbiko.
I say how. How did you send it?
By
to Mkhize?
hand. It was handed over by hand to the investigating officer at our office.
Ngamnika ngesandla uMkhize emahhovisi ethu lo mbiko.
That was 2018, correct?
That's correct.
Yebo kwaku 2018.
When it was taken by Mkhize, no one else ever applied for or served with Section 205 except Sergeant Mkhize.
No. There was no other Section 205 served to me for this specific case, no.
Ayikho enye section 205 eyaletha kumina mayelana nalolu daba.
Okay. Sorry. My Lord, I see it's convenient time to adjourn for lunch.
Is that so? What's the time?
It's 1 o'clock.
Okay. Adjourn until when?
Until 2.
Mr. Baloi, what time?
Is the court asking what time it is now?
Yeah, do we adjourn until what time?
Until 2, my lord.
Okay, 2 o'clock then.